But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do just Crota. I'm not gonna mess with the bridge. I'm not gonna mess with Death Singer. I'm not gonna mess with. I just, you know, I don't want to put that much thought into it. But we're gonna do just Crota because I think Crota. I like to believe that Crota in D2 is going to be actually challenging. Is what I like to believe. So yeah, we'll talk about the change, like some just general discussion to changes in Crota and D2. I like to think that Crota is actually going to be rough in D2, and I think it will be, but you know, I guess we'll see in a couple days, right? So the first thing is the opening area. I don't think anything is actually going to change in the beginning here. I don't really see what they would do. So I think this is just going to be like general clearing as well. When we come out of the arena, so there's a couple things that are, you know, of immediate attention. And the first one is definitely this, the chalice. So when it comes to the chalice, I think that this was too big of a mechanic in Destiny 1 to just completely get rid of or ignore. So I think that the chalice could be a couple different things that I'll kind of talk about a little bit later. Because one of the big things, one of the big theories right now that a lot of people have been talking about is similar to Oryx. When you had Oryx in D1, you would use bombs to do damage, and you would use weapons to stun. In D2, you use bombs to stun and weapons to do damage. So a lot of people think that there's going to be a way that you use, instead of using the sword to do damage and weapons to stun Crota, you would use the sword to stun Crota and you would use weapons to do damage. Now, the big issue with that, the big glaring issue right off the bat is you can't just take the sword and just run up to Crota and just be like, all right, guys, get ready, and then just run at him with a sword and just hit him and down him, because Crota's gonna fucking look at you and he's gonna see you coming at him with his fucking sword and he's gonna be like, oh, nah, bitch, bang, and he's gonna slam down on you and just kill you immediately. Yeah, he's literally going to give you the fresh meat bonk. Is not going to happen. However, here's where I think an interesting idea with the chalice comes into play. The chalice could be some sort of buff on your character that allows you to get some sort of stun. And keep in mind, all of this is just me talking out my ass, like ideas that if I were to redevelop this raid for Destiny 2, like what were things that I would talk about around the big rectangular table or circle table or whatever. So it'd be kind of cool if the chalice was some sort of buff.Maybe like you heal in this encounter now, or maybe you don't, but maybe it does something else other than just allow your health to regen. So that's kind of like the first thing. So if you were to pick up the chalice and it were to give you some sort of buff to stun Crota or to make him ignore you or something like that, some sort of immunity buff, then you could pick up the sword, the chalice holder, and go and take Crota down with the sword, and then the rest of your team would damage. You could also think about maybe the chalice holder can't also have the sword. There's like a bunch of things that they could do with flipping this mechanic around. But I do expect the chalice to be in this raid. If I come out of the starting crystal room and there's no chalice, I would actually be pretty surprised. The second thing is sword bearer. I think sword bearer is going to be the same. Yeah, I don't see anything different with that. I think sword bearer is going to come out of the door, kill him, grab a sword, blah 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 blah. So let's talk about these rooms. So this is what I call my safe room. Any of the solos that I've done, I've always gone down, like every single time. You run down here, you grab the chalice, right? And then you run into these bottom rooms. If I had to guess, Bungie is gonna do a couple things here. If I had to guess, one, just straight up wall this off. I feel like that's probably more unlikely, because then that closes down the space and gets rid of a lot of player space in the game. A second thing is, ultimately, I think they're going to punish you for trying to go into these rooms so that people can't just hide in these rooms and cheese them. Another one would be like a floor's lava thing. If you walk into the room, you just start taking damage. Another would be if they put some, like, if you walk into the room, enemies just keep spawning, or there's like an invincible enemy in here that you just can't kill. Yeah, like somebody said shrieker, like a shrieker in the ceiling that literally just shoots you and you can't damage it. Maybe the chalice has a buff that you can damage it. You know, I would be so surprised if you could just run into these rooms and camp these rooms and just survive everything, because these rooms, there's nothing in here. And Thrall will come out of the doors and ogres will come out every 2 rounds, but they're super easy. The other thing is the boomers. The boomer knights up top. In the original Crota raid, when the raid first dropped in the game, the boomers would just shoot at you from the stairs, and you know, they're in the towers that are like up here above the safe room that I'm in right now. You would just have somebody on boomer duty with a sniper. You just hit them with icebreaker a couple times and you would just keep them down, and they keep respawning. I do think that there's going to be continually respawning. So what they did with Age of Triumph Crota is they made it where Age of Triumph Crota, if you kill a boomer to prevent people from being on boomer duty, the boomer would spawn a wizard. And then if you kill the wizard spawns a boomer. So you're kind of forced to juggle between them both. I remember what I did early on, like in my first clears with teams, is we would just keep killing both. Like we would have like a machine gun or something, and we would just kill like a boomer, wizard. I personally would rather deal with the boomer than the wizard, but that's just me. The wizard, man, like the wizard just beams you down with this arc. All right, so the reason I pulled up this hunter one is to talk about Crota rotating to the side, also known as the Crotate. I think there could potentially be a mechanic here. Right there's the boomer, by the way. Right, I think there could potentially be a mechanic here because there are plates over here to the left and to the right. I'm not really sure what it could be. It could be some sort of damage buff. It could be where you can damage Crota. It could be absolutely fucking nothing. It could be a place where players have to stand. It could be a place where Crota has to stand. I don't know. But I am going to be checking out those plates on day one and seeing if there's anything interesting with the actual plates. So Oversoul, I think this is going to be the thing that's probably going to fuck people up the most in day one, because the Oversoul is probably going to have a fuck ton of health. And as you can see, Golden Gun was a really viable strategy in D1, but I don't know if it's going to be the same for D2. They probably thought of that because they know that a lot of people used Golden Gun. In 390's version of Crota, so when Crota first launched, Oversouls would only drop if somebody died or at the end of the encounter. In 390 Crota, an Oversoul spawns every single time you take Crota's shield down or stun him. If I had to guess, it's probably gonna be the same thing or like a full combination.
I felt like I went to a sketchy ass place after that, dude.
Yeah, Glad. Yeah, old Glad.
Jesus.
The Oversoul could also require certain buffs, certain places. Maybe the chalice has something to do with it. Certain places where players have to stand. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have any like strong predictions for Oversoul other than the fact that it's definitely going to be there, and it's most definitely going to happen every single time Crota does go down on a knee. You are old Glad, it was young Glad. That's very true. As far as Oversoul damage in D2, I mean, things that were like super high burst damage, like Nighthawk, like Sleeper. Sleeper was really good because of the bouncing shots. I'm gonna have linear fusions ready to go. I'm gonna have rockets ready to go. I'm gonna have grenade launchers ready to go. Yeah, Oversoul is a insta wipe. Well, actually, no. In D1 you could actually bubble sword block it. Another thing, right? Let's say Oversoul pops in D2 and you can't damage it. There could be some sort of mechanic that allows you to outlive the Oversoul. So similar to, let's say, the Vogue Relic Cleanse Shield in Vault of Glass, right? During Templar. What if there's something similar to that?
What do we got, man?
So what if there's like Oversoul pops and everyone has to gather in a certain area or have some sort of buff to outlive the Oversoul? This is all reaching. I don't think they're going to change this encounter too much, but mechanically, I think it's just going to have difficult enemies in it. I do expect the Knight could be a champion, the Swordbearer Knight. I'm not sure. We could also have the Ogres, expected them to be unstoppable. And then the other thing to talk about that I think they actually took out with 390 Crota, I don't remember, is the Gatekeeper. So they had a gatekeeper knight when the raid first launched that would guard this area back here. And I think what he was really there to do is to prevent people from just sitting down in that middle area and camping the middle, because you could just go down into the middle here and just camp this middle area and be protected from everything. And I definitely think they're going to do something similar here. They're going to put some sort of enemy that's like immune, like the gatekeeper, to prevent you from just camping in the middle. But the gatekeeper could also be a mechanic. It could deal with the Chalice of Light. If they follow past trends, no champs and boss encounters unless on master. That's true. That's true. Well, the ogres are still going to be beast in D2. And then the final stand. So Crota actually does have a final stand, but he operates a little bit differently than other final stand bosses. So when you get Crota to, I don't know what the actual health is, but it's like 15% or something like that. He enrages, and when he enrages, that's like the final stand, and oversouls start popping off. So yeah, I mean, probably the same thing. What do you guys think? I don't know if that would actually change it all. Does anybody have any ideas for how like the actual enrage mechanic would work with Crota? I mean, I think oversouls popping off is the best thing because it makes things super like hectic and forces your team to just brute force through it, or you can keep taking him down in his enrage and keep popping the oversouls as well. Lucent Hive. Yeah, what if the boomer knights are Lucent Hive? Because the boomer knights and the wizards don't even have to be knights and wizards. They could be Lucent enemies as well. No, enrage is different. Enrage is when you wait. I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes. But when you get Crota to a certain health, he enrages and he starts popping oversouls in 390. That's how you're able to do the triple down here. So watch. Or I'll show you another video. All right, yeah, this reaction's actually kind of funny. Watch. This challenge is really tough. I worked hard at this. 2. You can only get 2 there. See, now he's enraged, right? Enraged. So what he does is, because he goes enraged here and there's already an oversoul going off, he pops another oversoul. And what happened in D1 is, if you enraged Crota during an already active oversoul, you would, the one that was coming up from the enrage would cancel out this one. So I actually don't die here. See? Because that oversoul gets canceled out by the enraged one, which is what makes the
Oh, drifts. Fuck yeah, man. Got him. Fuck yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that was tough. This final phase is rough, bro. This took a long time. You had to put the sword bearer in a very specific location. Very specific location. And then you had to use the knives to keep the burn on him. Because if you didn't keep burn on him, G-Horn's Wolfpack rounds were so inconsistent. So here I had to shoot, knife, shoot, and the burn would keep his shield down. And then I think I throw a nade here, incendiary, keep the shield down. Yep. That's strats, dude. 2, 3. Oh, whoops. Anyway, that's that. Now, but I want to talk about sword swing. So this is assuming, preface, that sword damage is still how you damage Crota, which is I think very unlikely that doesn't happen, right? But if sword damage still does damage Crota, the best sword combination for Crota by far, and the most consistent, is going to be if Crota has the same downtime, right? If Crota is down on a knee for roughly the same time, you can get 4.5 hits, but it is really, really, really tough on the 390 version. Almost impossible. So you would go, wait, what would I do? I would do, yeah, 4.5 hits, but it has to be pretty much frame perfect. So what you do is you lead off with a heavy attack. The reason you lead off with a heavy attack is because a light attack is super quick and closes the gap really quickly. A heavy attack, an overhand heavy sword attack, starts the attack and has like some time until you actually land the connection. So you lead off with that so you can start the attack before Crota's shield isn't even down. See, like Crota still has a little bit of shield left, and I'm already going in with the heavy attack, and Crota's still standing up. See that? And what that does is that allows me to already start an attack before Crota's even down. So as he's going down, you get the first heavy attack on him in frame perfect timing. Then you do light, heavy, heavy, heavy. And that's 4.5 hits. And that comes up basically the frame, the final attack lands basically the frame that Crota's shield comes back up. So it's heavy, light, heavy, heavy, heavy. And then you'll notice the same thing happens here. Heavy before he even goes down. You can see I'm mid swing. Light, heavy, heavy, heavy. And then the oversoul will cancel out here.
50 less than 3.
But that's going to be, if sword damages Crota for day 1, D2, that's going to be the best sword combo for your sword bearer. Heavy, light, heavy, heavy, heavy. That's how we do it. Am I going to be on sword duty? Me and Air are definitely going to be our sword runners for sure. I have a lot of practice with sword for sure.